So hello to each and everyone. So I am Zoner Basilan, and now let us have the summary of our lesson 4, which is entitled Marxism. So by the way, what is Marxism? So literally, Marxism is the name for a set of political and economic ideas. So the thought of this view is that in focus with the economic and socio-political worldview based on works of Karl Marx. So these are the basic ideas in these views. So the world is split into multiple classes or what we call the groups of people. So among of those various groups of people in this world or the society, there are two main classes of this group. So namely, it is the working class and the ruling class. So the working class is exploited by the ruling class. So in Marxist philosophy, so the ruling class or those the capitalist class is those people who owns the means of production as private property. So this includes those rich people, and those people that is found on the high status of the community. So whereas the working class is those people who subject to the exploitation of labor, which form of political economy is justified. So those working class people is those people which engage in labor and so on and so forth. So there is a class conflict. So among those two main class of people in the world, there is a conflict in that where these views have found out that there is a conflict between these classes. So when workers realize their exploitation as they are exploited by those capitalist class, they will revolt and take over ownership of factories and materials. So this is the dictatorship of proletariat. So when people have awakened that they are exploited by those people that has the control of production, they have to revolt on themselves so that they have to fight for that they could not be exploited as the thing. So this form of action is go to communism. So those communism, which means this includes that stateless, they are stateless, the classless society with free enterprise. They want to be freely, they want to be equally important in the society. So the idea that people who have been exploited will not in turn exploit those who they were made to believe exploited them. So these ideas are from the works of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and their most notable works, the Communist Manifesto. So they have a lot of influence in many countries. So Marxism influenced other political views such as social democracy and reformist socialism. Both believe that the ideas of Karl Marx and Engels can be achieved through what Marx called bourgeois democracy, or this is the form of that communism or that communist. Therefore, that the Communist Party of the Philippines, which is the CPP, are using the views or the book of Karl Marx as their source, as their stand to fight for their views. So that is the virtues of democracy. So there are people disagree a lot on how Marxist society should be organized. So there are people that disagree in this view, especially for those people in capitalist class. So Marxist political economics differ over their definitions of capitalism, socialism, communism. So these differences are so fundamental. The arguments among Marxist political economics have sometimes been as intense as their oppositions to capitalism. So those people who disagree the view of Marx, or what we call the Marxism, was those they use that differ in definitions between the Karl Marx definitions of capitalism, socialism, and communism. So these are the source of their view to disagree on the Marxism. So how does Karl Marx begins to think this Marxism? So Marx argues that its significant period in history is constructed around a particular mode of production. So that is the way in which a society is organized from slave to feudal to the capitalist, or what we call the ruling class individuals, to produce the necessaries of life, which is the food, the shelter, and anything else. So in general terms, its mode of production produces first specific ways of obtaining the necessaries of life. This includes what we call the obtaining the necessaries of life. This includes those food, those shelters, those clothes, and anything that the people needs primarily. So second, the specific social relationship between workers and those who control the mode of production, or what we call the ruling class, or the capitalist individuals. So in these views, that the relationship between the workers and the capitalists must be improvised so that both workers and those capitalists are equally treating each others, and they will feel equally important in the mode of production. So the third or the last one is the specific social institution, including cultural ones. So this is to preserve what's individuals or what the unique individuals contain their own cultural ones, so that they will preserve what they already have. So that is the views of Marxism from the thought of Karl Marx in this lesson 4. So the Marxism is to focus to those economic and socio-political views of the society. So that is all. I hope that we have learned from this summary